Hello, everyone. Nellie here, and I want to share with you some big insights and takeaways that I had when my social media was taken offline abruptly. And before I get to that, be sure to like and subscribe to this so you can be sure to get all the latest information that is coming from myself and the 6570 Family Project in order to help you love and lead your daughter in a way that she learns how to love and lead herself even before she leaves home. That's the whole premise of what we do here, is helping families come together to love and lead so they can love and lead before they leave home. So if you want that, then press the subscribe button and like this video and share it throughout. Be thinking of the people that might need to hear this besides just you, because this is a big topic. And many parents, it's very quick to take away social media, maybe even take away phones entirely, or not give them a phone at all, or give them access to a phone or allow them to have it if they pay for it on their own during the childhood experience. But I'm going to share with you a little bit of background and some insights that I had during my own experience, and then some takeaways I really got. And so let me grab my notes here. I'm a journaler. Are you a journaler? I totally journal everything. So, okay. So one of the biggest, to give you a little bit of background, I've been on social media for 15 years. It was whatever 15 years ago was, 2008, I guess. And it was around Christmas time. So almost 15 years. It would be 15 at the end of this year. But it was Christmas time, and my sister, who is 9 years younger than me, and she's like, "Oh, you got to try this thing. You got to do this thing. It's so cool." And I was like, "Oh, I do live very far from family. Ever since I left home at 17, I've always lived pretty far. I think the closest I've lived is maybe 6 hours from home. So I saw a connection point there that could be had, and I was excited about that. So I said, sure. So I got on, and I've been going ever since. And our businesses and our communities and everything have built on there. And we have our family business, right? I have my personal mentorship ministries and businesses. And then I had just my personal stuff, right? Well, on January 30th, someone was hacking into my system. I changed the password. Someone hacked again, probably the same people. They hacked, and it just went on. And on the third time, everything was shut down. Everything was shut down, and there wasn't hope of getting it back, as we found out over the subsequent 3 weeks. And so it was interesting, to go along, and as adults do, as people do. I had all these well-laid plans. I was like, okay, we're going to do this in February and this in March and everything. Well, that was all like, whoa, put on, big hold. The big breaks were hit because we didn't have communities. We didn't have client ways to connect except through email. Our communities for that and our signature program were down, all the things, right? And I was dealing with the business logistics of things for sure. But what I sat back and really kind of pondered was the personal impacts that it was having to me. And it really gave me insight into parenting, as I often think about, right? And our kids and what they also experience. But my brain is fully developed and theirs isn't fully developed yet. So it makes it even more so, right? Everything in a teen brain is like the plus button. You feel this way, they feel that way plus, right? You're having a bad day, they're having a bad day plus. You are having temptations, distractions, they're having that plus. You are having, certain addictions to different things. You can have addictions to so many different things in your life. They're having that plus. So as I'm going through this, I want to keep that top of mind too. So number one, it was a big timeout, you guys. It was a really big timeout, and the world just got really quiet. I had, where's my phone? I had like phantom social thumb because my fingers were just so used to going in certain directions. And I was like, oh, that's not there anymore. Oh, that's not there. And so that was definitely a thing, right? These habits, these deep ingrained habits that I had just where it was, on my phone to open up. And then it was so abrupt and there was this void, right? And there's not really a way to put it except for there was this void that was there and it was just ripped out all of a sudden. And then I have all these different, I counted it out and I had, I think I had 12 different either groups or pages or business pages, connections, my own personal, because this was everything on Facebook and Instagram. I had 12 different platforms on there that were all taken away. And so there was this void. And then I had this, I mean, it's going to sound silly, but I had this mourning period almost, right? And it's when I realized that it wasn't coming back. I mean, that's 15 years of memories. I'm not going to get those memory pop-ups anymore that you're like, oh, right, I love those. And so memories and photos and conversations and posts and all of those connections that I had made, thousands and thousands of connections that I had made through personal and business and mentorship over the years, gone. So there was a mourning period for that too. Number 3, it was very isolating, right? It was very isolating in that. So I love stories. I love to see stories. I want to know your stories. I want to help people with their stories. I love the story that, I'm writing every day, even through the challenges. And I missed that. I really missed seeing people's stories, even, not necessarily people that I get to interact with every day, but just their stories. Oh, what's going on? I remember their daughter had, a play that she was in. I wonder how that's going. And I was just missing those things. Oh, I know this person's going through a rough time. How are things going there? How can I pray? How can I think? How can I help these people? So I was missing out on those stories. And also, the endorphins that come with watching all the funny videos. One of my daughters and I love to watch the funny dog videos, especially when it comes to golden retrievers. Golden retrievers just are the funniest dogs ever, right? And so I would watch those sometimes. You're in the middle of a day, it's heavy, it's, there's a lot going on, a lot of deadlines and everything. You're like, I'm just gonna get a little dose of endorphins and watch some some golden retriever videos. And it was so fun, right? Missing that. And then also that more deep connection. So even on like the stories that go across the top of Instagram or Facebook or what have you, right? When I saw a family member, when I saw my sister or pictures of my nephew, it was a connection. Even though we live 1,000 miles apart, it was so nice to have that connection, or with friends, or with even mentors that I find, through my social connections. There's a lot of mentorship that I get that these people don't even know who I am, but I get it from them every single day. And I was missing that. So there was definitely a mourning period through all of that. Now, swinging a little bit to another perspective in observation was that the time that I was using before in social, and I'm not talking about my business production time and all of that. That's work, right? That's business, and that has to be done in order to serve the mission. But I'm talking about just the scroll hole that we all fall in, right? And you know what I'm talking about. Don't try to deny that you do. I know you know what I'm talking about. That time that I never intentionally did, but always kind of happened, right? Was then filled with other things seamlessly. Right. And I was like, oh, I'm not having that. Okay, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And so that time was just replaced really, really quickly with something else. Many times things that were much more productive and better for my brain. And then the last observation before we get into some takeaways and applications here, the last observation I had was that even though I love people's stories, I really, really do, not having all of those thousands of people's stories in my heart and in my head let me focus on my own story during that time and really give me the insight to continue that as well. So good, bad, they're just observations, and things that I felt and witnessed and saw and experienced during that time. But then it got me thinking, okay, now that I've had this experience, what can I do in a takeaway as a parent and in, family life and leadership coaching and speaking and writing? So number one is definitely do not dismiss your child's connection to social media. Okay. So don't just be like, oh, it's just an app, it's just stupid. It's ridiculous. When you dismiss them, which is one of the cardinal, rules against great communication anyway, is dismissing. But when you dismiss them about a connection that they have, then that can lead towards some really big walls that are being put up between you and your child. Because typically, if you're dismissing them, you're not having an ongoing conversation about it. You're just like, yeah, dismiss and whatever, and you're walking on, and they're left with this void of connection and no one that is going to understand them. So they're going to go seek out other people that they can connect and collaborate with and really complain to, honestly. And that's going to lead to bigger walls between you. So don't dismiss their connection to social media. On that same note, right? The second thing is know the connection that they have to social media. So you can run down the gamut here, right? Where are they following? Who are they following, right? Who are those biggest influences that they are having right now? And then what are they trying to fill by reaching into social media? What is the need? And remember the 5 needs that we have. There's a document about that I will put down below. Let me just make a note of that. So what 5 needs, right? Seen, heard, love, belong, purpose. What are they looking for in social media? And then where are they consuming this, right? What platforms? There's many of them out there. Some of them you might not have even heard of. There's the big dogs, of course, like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, but there's a lot of different ones out there as well that you might not know about. And so knowing where they're consuming social media is really important. And then when are they consuming it? Is this a during school thing? Is this an after school thing? Is this a first thing in the morning thing? Is this a 1 a.m. thing? When are they consuming it, right? And then how can you help them use it as a safe tool toward positively growing their life? It can be used in that way, I promise. It's not just junk out there. There's some amazing things that can happen with social media, but teaching them how to use it in that way is our job, one of our responsibilities as parents. So the first one is don't dismiss their connection to social media. Number 2 is know their connection to social media, right? And number 3, if you take their social media down, be sure to give them other modes to connect with people. Right? So if you take their whole phone away, that's no texting, that's no social, right? That's no games or whatever that they have on there. Make sure that they still have a way to connect. You never want to take away that privilege. And I'm not saying that you need to have them connect to whoever you're trying to stop them connecting from. I'm saying go out and grab a coffee or a tea, have them connect with you, have them connect with a neighbor, have them connect with a friend that you do know and trust, have them connect with a family member that doesn't live in the home. Have them connect with a sibling, right? So make sure connection or modes of connection are still in play and you haven't taken away what they think is the one and only source of connection, okay? And then next is number 4 is don't avoid the hard stories. There are plenty of really hard stories that deal with teen and tween young men and women that are victims of bullying, that are victims of being stalked, right? That are victims of comparison that leads to so much self-doubt and unworthiness. or they're putting things out there that are then having harm and repercussions and consequences for, the next day at school and even years and years to come. Don't avoid the hard stories, because the hard stories are where they're going to learn. And then also on the other side of that, don't avoid the good stories. My family, my girls and all of my girls and I participated in this fundraiser for this little boy named Henry a couple of months ago. And his family could not afford the treatment that he needed in order to save his life. I had a connection. It was a connection of a connection. I knew this kid. It was legit. And so we were raising money $1 at a time for this kid, right? And we would just all say, this is for you, Henry, and pass it on. And we would donate, and we caused a movement for this family. That is the type of thing that can be so powerful and amazing about this world connectivity that we have through social media. Also, just, hey, does anyone know of a good seamstress in town? Awesome. That's great too, right? This connectivity can be used in amazing ways, in really fun ways, right? Golden Retriever videos, right? Endorphins, all of those things, but they have to know how to use it. And they won't know unless they know the goods and the bads that can happen within that. And then lastly, it's okay for them not to have social media. I don't want every parent out there to feel like, oh, if I don't give allowance or, get my kids on social media, they will be the only ones. I promise you they won't be. So if they don't have a desire to get on social media, don't push it. Keep having those conversations though. Even if social media is not a part of your active or your child's active life right now, you still need to be having the conversations about it, because if it isn't now, I promise you it will be sometime in the future. And think of it this way. When I was younger and my brother was really young, my brother is 11 years younger than me. He was lost in Disney World, I believe it was. And it was a big, big, big amusement park. Pretty sure it was Disney World. And it's supposed to be this happy, great, amazing place. And it is, and it was, but when they are lost in there and they don't know where to go, what resources to have, how to, create positive impacts on themselves, and they're just going to get lost in there, they're going to be taken advantage of by everybody that is in there that wants to do that. And unfortunately, on the internet, on social media, there is a lot of people that want to take advantage. And so having these really real stories of the positives and the negatives and understanding what this playground of social media is really imperative. So I hope that has really helped you. But I want to just reiterate that this is going to take many, many, many conversations. Why? Well, their risk assessment in their brain is not online yet. They live through the, I want to say gratitude, but that's not it. I know it's in my notes somewhere. Gratification. So they very close to gratitude, right? But gratification, that is what their brain is hardwired for right now. And so they look past risk. They don't see into the future right now, right? That's all part of this that is developing in the prefrontal cortex right now. So they're developing it, but it's not fully online yet. So they're just about gratification. And think about as much exposure as they have to social, that you're contending for that for your guidance and teaching in social. Okay. So keep having conversations over and over and over again, and have fun with it. Follow the same people, share stories, send things over DMs to one another. You find something cool, you find something fascinating, you find something funny, be a part of that world with them and help guide them through this playground of social media. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Please share this if you think it would be helpful to anybody else that is listening, which honestly is every parent is going to have to face social media with their kids. If you don't face it within the 65-70, which is that first 6,570 days of life, social media is not going anywhere, you guys. So if you don't face it now, they're going to face it alone later. So the best thing you can do as their parent, as their teacher, as their guide throughout this training ground of life, being the 65-70, is to walk them through it, the pros, the cons, what to look out for, how to have fun in here, but also be safe and make sure you're on a positive path toward growth, right? So share and so others can gain wisdom and growth. And don't forget to subscribe so that this can continue to grow in its outreach and mission in the 65-70 Family Project. And if you are raising a daughter right now, especially in the second half of childhood, but eventually she'll be there. If you're raising a daughter right now and you would be interested in, okay, what are the logistics and how can I have support, not just for a video or this or that, but I actually want support and teaching and what's going on in the brain, what's going on in psychology, and culture and faith. How can I have that support throughout the entire 65-70? Be sure to check out the how to apply link down below. It's right down there and it will tell you everywhere in your next step that you need to go. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day. I hope it's going well for you, and I will see you next week. And remember, guys, the best way to change the world is through your living room right now. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.